Describe the longest 5 minutes of your life. I was on placement with a doctor, and he told a patient that he might lose his leg due to diabetes. It obviously upset him, but the doctor left to go get something, leaving me in the room with him. He must have been gone for only 2 minutes, but I swear it felt like 20. The guy was quietly sobbing to himself, and I had no idea what to do or say. Obviously, it's better than if he were sitting there alone, but still. Well, don't be so upset. On the other hand, you'll save 50% off shoes. 6 months ago, anesthesia ended too soon, while the surgeon was still stitching up my knee after realigning my patella. There were still 3 stitches to go. I still remember that terrible pain. Being a kid and waiting for my mom to finish talking to friends. To be fair, it was only 5 minutes according to my mother. My longest 5 minutes were on the way to a toilet, trying to hold back destructive diarrhea in a public place. Your like and subscription will really help my channel. My son was silent when he was born. The doctor gave me a serious look, handed me the scissors to cut the umbilical cord, and then rushed my son to a table on the other side of the room. I moved to the head of the bed to tell my wife what a great job she did. I honestly have no idea how long it took to hear him cry, but those seconds or minutes were the longest moments of my life. He turned 20 last month. Same here, 6 minutes to make a noise, 11 to full-on normal crying. The NICU staff was ready to take him, but everything turned out okay. We joke that he overslept by pressed snooze on his alarm. In 5th grade, while the principal was listing off the profanities I searched on Google Earth. The last 5 minutes of an ultrasound on your abdomen when forced to do so with a full bladder, especially when I got my appointment wrong and showed up an hour early. I have, in all my 30-plus years, never had to pee so badly, lol. A presentation about grass. I don't know why we had to watch it or why they chose to do it, but it's hard to imagine a more boring activity. Loading screens in games back when I had a laptop. I have so many Sims 4 loading screen tooltips memorized. Waiting for that pregnancy test result, regardless of how you want the result to sway. Or waiting for HIV tests, even if you were with the same person or used condoms every time. You will still be nervous during the test. You never know what might happen. I did a bungee jump off the Versaska Dam, Switzerland. It's famous for being in the opening scene of GoldenEye. The jump itself was amazing, but as I bounced up and down after the initial jump, my body rotated and the bungee cord kind of corkscrewed around my legs a couple of times. When the vertical motion finally stopped, I was hanging over a huge drop and the cord wrapped right around my legs. The operators were shouting at me to remove my ankle from the twisted cord so that they could pull me back up. My rational mind knew that I was securely fastened at the hip, but the tension of the cord on my ankle made it feel like I depended on it and that I would fall to my death the second I unwrapped it. I was physically unable to unwrap my ankle for a full 5 minutes, upside down, blood rushing to my head the whole time. Eventually, I found the courage and went against my survival instincts, but it was the longest, most terrifying 5 minutes of my life. That's why I always shake my head when someone watches a disaster movie and says, "Why are they running there? Why are they doing that? Don't they know they're going to fall?" When placed in a situation you might not get out of alive, your mind goes into panic. You stop thinking logically, and you start finding ways to survive. The things you do aren't going to make sense. It's easy to say, "I would never be that stupid," while sitting on the couch. When I was a kid, my mom told me to wait online at the supermarket, and then she went to go get some more things. My line at the grocery store was getting closer and closer. The woman in front of me had almost finished loading and was about ready to pay when my mother finally reappeared. It was the longest 5 minutes of my life, with incredible relief at the end. Waiting at the DMV line that lead to the true DMV line, such a wonderful multicultural experience. Watching my crush walk away after I told her how I felt. Then she came back about 5 minutes later and just quietly told me she didn't want to speak with me anymore. Thank you for all the F's in the comments, guys. At the hospice, holding my husband's hand as he died. It was the longest and saddest 5 minutes of my life. Trying to help somebody you are certain will bleed out before the ambulance gets there. What's the story? About 2 years ago, my family and I went to the Canary Islands. One evening, my brother-in-law, cousins, and I were hanging out and drinking heavily in one of the big shopping malls, having a great time. Suddenly, my sister calls me up in hysteria. Some old guy had been beaten up right outside our apartment. She tells me that 9 guys were standing around him, kicking him, and laughing. Never sobered up so quickly before, so I took my brother-in-law with me and ran the fastest I've ever done down to the location. We found him in the middle of the road, laying face up, all alone. His face was so bloody and messed up, I had no idea what he really looked like. While we were waiting for the ambulance and the police, I began to give him first aid. The police never found anyone, and the guy in the hospital said that he was from Norway and was on his way to the airport when he was attacked by robbers. he was stabbed, his ribs and nose were broken, etc. A week later, he got out of the hospital and thanked me. He also said, quote, "It takes more than that to break down a northerner." Your like and subscription will really help my channel. Thanks a lot for your donations.